We are so fortunate today because we have Scott Reardon and Matt Sinclair with us for this virtual classroom where we are going to be learning all about how you can be your greatest. We're going to be hearing from these two incredible men on their journey, and we're going to be cooking an amazing meal today. A burrito bowl, I believe?
It's the one, Scotty's favourite.
Absolutely. So I'll just remind everybody, if you haven't joined us for one of these sessions before, you can actually put your questions into the chat box on Zoom for Scott and for Matt, and then I'll be monitoring them on the computer and I'll be able to ask those questions for you as we proceed today. So make sure you put your name and your school in there so I can give you a shout out. If you have any technical difficulties, there is a number in the chat box as well that you can call, so please make sure you do so. All right, so let's get cooking. Today we'll start by introducing Scott Reardon, who is a Paralympian, and Scott is busy preparing for the Tokyo Games this year. So Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so as mentioned, I'm a Paralympic athlete, and I'm Paralympian because I have one leg. So I was involved in a farm accident when I was 12. So I grew up in a small town called Tamora. Lost my leg. Then kind of didn't really know what I was going to do. Found my way back into sport. Ended up in water skiing for a little while. Competed for Australian water skiing over about 7 years. And then ended up in the sport of track and field, athletics in particular. So been a pretty special career over the years. Won 2 silver medals and 4 gold medals in my career in athletics so far. Hopefully we get to go back to back next year or this year in Tokyo, and yeah, kind of take it to that next level and be a back-to-back champion.
Incredible, and I'm sure you've got lots of questions for Scott today, so start putting them in the chat box so we can get them all prepared. And we have got Matt Sinclair with us today, who is season 8 Masterchef alumni. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so very lucky. 2016 was season 8 of Masterchef Australia. So a crazy experience, amazing opportunity to be involved in that competition. Fortunately, I'm going to say, came second, which was above and beyond what I thought was going to happen. And then life after that is, you know, there's just been a crazy ride of amazing experiences and opportunities and traveling and cooking with, you know, incredible people, an amazing network. And now I guess the goal was to firmly establish myself in the food and beverage, in the hospitality industry in the form of a restaurant. So, and we've had that running now for 4 years up here on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. So yeah, you know, from not knowing what was going to happen way back then and what I've been able to experience has been phenomenal.
Incredible, and I'm sure you're going to be really inspired by Matt's journey today. Make sure any of you budding MasterChefs out there, put your questions into the chat box and we'll be sure to share them around today. So as mentioned, today our focus is on learning how to be your greatest at whatever that means for you and whatever your passion is. We're going to be learning how to look after our bodies and our minds with healthy foods, and we're going to be learning about what it takes to be a Paralympian and a little bit more about your journey and the prep you're doing for training for this year. But before we kick it off and get started, we need to do the most important thing before you start cooking any meal, which is to
wash our hands.
Cleanliness. Hands, really important. We're going to be chatting a little bit today about safety in the kitchen, how to make sure that you're using knives properly and hot pans and so on. But it's really important that if you want to start cooking at home, if you want to recreate this recipe with your family, that you make sure you ask your parents or whoever looks after you first, get their permission and get them to help you out with some of the more tricky things while you're learning. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So we might kick it off by you explaining what we're cooking today and giving us a bit of a breakdown on all of these delicious ingredients. I'll be sitting over here in the background monitoring your questions and shouting them out as we go.
All right, you good?
We're good,
Ready to hit it? Okay, so we are going to do a Mexican burrito bowl using a beautiful cut of beef. So we've got a lovely cut of rump there, really nice and lean, that we've sliced up really nice and fine. And we're going to put the classic taco seasoning over the top of that. So if you've ever made tacos at home with mum and dad, you've had burrito night, taco night, whatever it is, that is sure to come into play. So we're going to use that to season the beef, and cutting it really nice and thin serves a couple of purposes. it's going to take on a lot of that flavour. So the more that you break the beef down, the more slices you have, the more surface area you have. So that's going to take on more of that marinade, more of that coating, which is going to transfer into more flavour. And also it's going to cook quick. Okay, so really nice fine slices of the beef, going to cook really quickly. A little tip, just sort of running off the safety aspect that we were talking about before. When you're working with a bigger cut of beef and you want to get those really nice fine slices, I would absolutely suggest just pop it in the freezer. So what that does is just going to firm it up a little bit, make it a little bit easier to handle and much easier to get some nice clean slices through. Mind you, taking our time using a sharp knife. Okay, so just,
how long?
I'm thinking 20 minutes, half an hour, and I know that's eating into your half an hour. You've normally got this on the table in half an hour, but I mean, if you had a little bit of beef in the freezer and you were going to use that up, take it out, let it just sort of warm up a little bit. But while it's still quite firm, that's your best opportunity to really get those nice fine slices.
So firm but not frozen.
Firm but not frozen. Yeah. So I'm going to 20 minutes, half an hour, and it's just going to firm it up a touch. And I really do believe that makes it a lot safer to get those nice fine slices and nice clean cuts. Okay,
and
so
what is this cut of beef that you've got here?
Rump. So really beautiful cut of rump, really nice and lean. A little bit of the fat cap on there. So when we're slicing across the grain here, that's going to give us those really beautiful tender strips of beef and just that little bit of fat on the edge for that beautiful flavour, and the good fats, which we've had a conversation about, which I'm sure will lead into as we move through this recipe. So that's probably the key component to this dish. We've got I sort of threw a little rice component in there just to finalise the whole bowl concept, which we've spoken about. Something you may or may not use depending on what your caloric intake is looking like and how hard you're training and what you're burning.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that we really love about a bowl is it doesn't have to be exactly what we're cooking here.
Exactly.
So the rice, when I'm in the middle of competition season, I simply just don't need to eat the carbs. I'm doing very minimal, but just running fast.
Yep.
So it comes straight out. But
Yep.
then, it's the beauty about bowl is what we've got in the fridge.
Yeah.
What can we add?
With?
Yeah. Do you like beans? Okay,
Yep.
don't like beans, but you like cucumber. Chuck a bit of cucumber in there.
Yeah.
So the
Yep.
whole premise of having a bowl is, this is what we're making today, but kind of just do whatever you want with it. Whatever you like, just kind of modify it to whatever
Do
you
it to
think
suit
is
yourself.
exactly
And
right.
I think that's one of the beautiful things that we try to communicate as people that cook for a living. Even with us, there needs to be a little bit of that flexibility in recipes and have that creative freedom to do what you want and build a dish that you're going to be happy to sit down and really enjoy. That's what it's all about. So you can personalize it. So we've got the rice there with some beautiful chicken stock, and we put a couple of spices in there as well. The turmeric, when you're training, it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So having that in there can be something that can assist in that. Because I have no doubt you're putting your body under immense pressure. Absolutely. And potentially, a tear or a stretch or a pull here or there could happen. So that's sort of like another component to it. And then all the fresh stuff, all right? So this is where we're talking about compiling a very nutritious, delicious and complete meal. This is where all this sort of stuff comes into play and where a lot of the personality you can bring into it, whether it's cucumber. We've got beautiful cherry tomatoes, some grated carrots and baby spinach, beans, plenty of protein in them. And then a little bit of dairy just with the feta cheese so that you get that nice sort of salty, briny flavour. That does act as a seasoning and of course a lovely flavour component of the dish. Some lovely fresh herbs. There's some sour cream and a little bit of chili sauce there. If you've had your taco night at home, you might go with the sour cream. Natural yogurt, also a really nice replacement for that, which is super healthy, great for our gut and just, great for our system all round. So, and avocados. Delicious. Where would we be without, beautiful. So first thing I'm going to do is just get the taco seasoning onto the beef. So we've got a couple of tablespoons there, and I'm just going to make sure, I'm sure you guys know the drill. In the bowl, just move it around, make sure you get a nice even coating. If you wanted to put it into a little snap lock freezer bag and just throw it around, little shake and bake action happening. And just make sure all of that's got content. So we're doing that first. We're going to marinate it first, and then we're going to cook it last. So we're going to give ourselves every opportunity to get as much flavour into that beef as possible. Flavour profile of the taco seasoning, we're talking along the lines of garlic powder. Obviously, there's a bit of salt in there, some cumin, a little bit of smoked paprika for that lovely smoky flavour. And all really common ingredients that you would find if you wanted to make them
Absolutely.
make it yourself.
Yeah, we can go to the shops and go and buy that
Totally.
mix, but
Yeah.
if you have it in the spice
got your
jar
spice,
at home,
yeah.
just mix it up, and
Absolutely.
it might be, you actually might find something that you actually like better.
Might be better.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Normally it is better when you make it yourself.
Of course it is. There's that little sense of pride and achievement of being like, I didn't need to get it off the shelf.
Exactly right.
So yeah, like they're the core ingredients that would be in there. But yeah, feel free to open up the spice cabinet. Some fennel seeds would be beautiful. Coriander seeds, bash them up, get them in. Go for your life. All right. Guac. I'm going to put you in charge of the guac. Another key component.
Yep.
Got it covered. I keep it pretty simple. Avocado, lime for that lovely zing that we love that style of food for, and that freshness.
So a couple of those.
Good avo, bit of red onion, a little bit of salt, and we're looking good. All right.
Perfect.
So while you get on with the prep for your guac and you're sorting out that beautiful beef over there, tell us a little bit about what this dish means to you, Scott. Why did you choose this as one of your favourite dishes in preparation for your training?
Yeah, I think there's probably a number of reasons that I did choose this dish. So as an elite athlete, we don't have a hell of a lot of time, and the timing that we actually eat is really important. So as soon as we finish training, we need to be kind of eating within half an hour to an hour post-training. So for me, getting it back into the...
Oh, no, I mean, I was going to ask, so why is that? Why do you need to eat within that time slot?
For recovery purposes. So
Right.
we want to be getting the protein back into the...
So your body's is open to taking it on.
Exactly right, exactly right. So just make sure we can boost the absolute most out of our recovery.
Yep.
So time is a big one for that. So this one here, I've been able to maximise this. It's funny, you get me into a supermarket, I don't know what to cook. Someone mentions burritos and I'm gone. I was in the shops with a mate the other day and literally he just sat back and let me do my thing, and literally within 5 minutes I know where everything is, go and get it, grab it. We're back at home and we're cooking, and I can have it from finished training to on the plate via the supermarket in under half an hour. So for me, the speed of this, especially when I'm post-training super hungry. But as you can see here, the most important part is the ingredients that we use. We're buying good natural ingredients. There's no nasties in here. There's no processed food. It's just really good quality food.
Clean eating.
Yeah. So we've got good source of protein through the rump steak, and then we've got a few carbs through some of the vegetables we're eating as well, a little bit of dairy. So yeah, it's a really good mix of speed, getting them into my stomach fast.
You love the fast lane, don't you?
I do. Well, I'm either going really fast or not moving at all. Every sprinter will tell you, they ever hear Usain Bolt speak, it's literally he's going flat out or he's just sitting at home doing nothing.
Relax. Yeah.
Exactly right. And this is definitely a part of my life that needs to be fast, getting food back in as quick as I possibly can.
So while you start prepping your guac, you mentioned protein a few times.
Yep.
We know that we can get protein from lean red meat, like Australian beef. But tell us a little bit about what the protein actually does for your muscles.
Yeah, so protein is essential for growing muscles and also recovering muscles. So as you can see, being an elite athlete, and my strength and my recovery is hugely important. So there's really no point if I go out there and absolutely smash myself at training than if I don't put the right things back in. So protein is essential for me to be able to recover. So it helps with muscle growth and muscle regeneration to make sure that I'm actually being able to go out tomorrow and do the same thing again, and then week after week, month after month, year after year to kind of look after my body. So something like red meat and the protein we get from red meat, it is absorbed by the body much better than what some of the proteins are. So we get a lot of good bang for buck. So it's able to get a lot of stuff in the system really quickly and do its repair job as fast as we possibly can. Okay,
that's really good to know. And the Australian Dietary Guidelines suggest that we should be eating 3 to 4 serves of lean red meat a week. Would that be on par roughly with what you need?
Yeah, absolutely. So three a week is definitely a minimal for me. It is quite common that I'm 4 times a week as well, and that kind of mixes up between different types of meat there as well. So, but yeah, definitely this is a pretty much a staple in the Reardon household, and it's something that's there almost every week. It's just really good to get it into the system really quick post training, and it's delicious. And
smells amazing already.
I think every household's got those couple of go-tos.
Absolutely.
When you just don't know, time's precious. We all get to that point of the day where it's like, oh, what are we going to have for dinner?
Yep,
what are we going to do?
absolutely.
And everyone's got those ones in the repertoire where it's like, okay, we're going to rip this out because it's quick, it's delicious, it's reliable, and it's going to give us everything we need. So
absolutely.
And so we've chatted a little bit about these beautiful fresh ingredients, the importance of having them in your balanced diet. You've spoken a little bit about the carbohydrates that you need for your energy. In terms of the beef that we're using here, can that be replaced with a different type of red meat?
Yeah, totally. I think the most common one that you would find when you're having conversations about burritos or burrito bowls, tacos, anything like that, mince is always like super versatile, readily available, inexpensive, but is still going to give us, everything that we need. The thing that I like about using mince as well, it's kind of bulletproof in a sense. Like I think sometimes people can feel a little bit nervous, going, I don't know if I'm going to cook the steak right, or I don't know if I can slice it thin enough. Mince is always there as that amazing option that's going to cover that base for you, and it's always going to come out good.
Yeah.
It's like whenever it's not.
So it's foolproof.
It's foolproof.
Good
bulletproof,
one.
guaranteed.
Maybe a good one for the students to start with too.
And
Absolutely.
One good thing about mince as well is if you happen to cook too much, chuck it back in the fridge. You can repurpose it. Either go another burrito bowl the next day, or lunch.
I feel like that if you're like, I'm going again. I'm going again.
Absolutely. I normally cook enough for 2 nights, or have enough greens for 2 nights. But also you can kind of repurpose that into something else, where that kind of comes into a stew or something like that. If you have too much, then we can reduce the wastage that we have, which is also really important.
Massive thing. Yeah. So versatility is always right up there when it comes to all the different beef products that we can use.
Okay, we've got loads of questions coming in. I'd love to get a few in from the students so far. So we've got one here for Matt. How has your involvement in Masterchef changed the way that people relate to you? That's a great question.
This person 25.
Oh, well, this came from another Matt at John Wollaston in Perth. So hi to our Perth.
Can you ask the question?
Yeah,
again?
I sure can.
It's an in-depth one.
After being involved in Masterchef,
Yep.
how's that changed how people relate to you?
I think in general, I think that the strangest thing to get used to, was people coming up to me that I've never met before, never known. I think a show like Masterchef is getting somewhere around the region of 1 million people watching each episode. So when you start,
So you're famous.
you get apparently I don't know, not on this end. People just approach you. They strike up a conversation like that. You've known them for ages.
Yeah.
And I think when they've had that exposure to it, you've been on their screens and they've followed that journey, which on TV will go for, say, 3 months. So it's quite a long time. And they start to just like, hey, mate, how you going? I'm like, good, thanks.
Yes, who are you?
But they just have that, they feel they've got that connection, they know you, and that they've got that relationship. I think in terms of people in the food community, that's probably been an amazing thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that have probably seen the flip side of Masterchef, or they've seen what happens in the background, and they sort of go, it's a tip of the hat to you. Like it's not an easy task, and I think they are all about the inclusiveness and bringing more people into to the food industry. And anyone that's going to be out there flying the flag and talking all good things and being passionate about food, getting people involved in food, is always a positive thing. So I think there's a lot of people in the foodie community that always rally around, and they're really really supportive of shows like MasterChef and what people do after it. So I think that was again another amazing thing of the support that has continued from then, still 4 years on, of people coming and going, it's like so proud of you. I'm so happy that you actually got a restaurant, you're doing what you wanted to do, and people that I've never met before, which is a really beautiful thing.
Yes.
So that was probably the one of the most interesting things to get used to, is like people, they know me, but I didn't know them. But it's all been really positive. So
that's fantastic
to
hear. Great question from Watson.
Great question.
Thank you. So while you're prepping, I'm just going to throw out a few more questions for you. It sounds as though you both have somewhat of an experience with stressful environments and stressful situations. One of the themes around what we're discussing today is how to be your greatest. So how do you calm yourselves down, be present, become mindful? What do you both do? Maybe give some tips to the students watching today in case they're going through any stressful situations, exams, tests, anything like that.
Breathe. The best piece of advice that I've ever been given is stop and breathe. I think we get into this state where we start getting anxiety, and all of a sudden we just want to do something. We have to stop breathing. But we just stop and breathe. I'll be standing on a start line with 80,000 people watching me, and I'm there with my eyes closed, and I take 3 deep breaths, just, and then I'm ready to go. I'm here. I'm present.
So we'll clear out.
Absolutely. So everything that was going on before, what was I doing? don't really know what am I going to do next. What's next in the process?
Yeah.
So it just enables me to be anchored, and I think from that point, being present, I can then go out and do what I need to be able to do. Once that gun goes, you're calm, you're ready to go, that thing fires, and I'm off like a rocket. And get to the other end as fast as I can.
That's a great tip, because that's something really easy that the students can do straight away in any situation.
Absolutely, and it can be used any time as well. Like I'm walking into the studio today to do this, something I don't normally do. What do I do before I walk into the door at the front? I stop and I breathe. And if I'm sitting in the corner by myself, a bit uncomfortable, I stop and I breathe, because it's that one thing that we have, that we all have, all the time, every part of the day, we can breathe. It's something that we can concentrate on. And that fundamental thing enables us to bring us back to what's important and what we're trying to do and be present. Yeah.
So important. Let's keep cooking. I'd love to hear a little bit more about these beautiful ingredients. And so what's the step-by-step process for this beautiful dish?
So this is a little bit of a different style of guac. I've sort of kept it a bit chunky.
Yep.
It's a bit, it's still got all of that texture in there, but we're just it's a little bit more free form. We've got the heaps of avocado in there, the red onion, that little bit of warmth, that beautiful crunch out of the onion, heaps of fresh coriander, lots of lime. When you start talking about that list of ingredients, you're going to Mexico.
Absolutely.
You're there,
Absolutely.
right? This is what we're doing. This is what we're eating. So that's that really refreshing element to this dish. You're going to have those nice sort of spicy, rich barbecue elements with the beef, and then like all this goodness, all the fresh stuff. And I think when you start talking about balancing out a good plate of food, I'm a massive advocate for having a bit of raw and cooked. So whether that's in the form of, if you were to do, have a barbecue and you've got your steaks, you've got your roast veggies, but a nice garden salad, just something raw, something really fresh and vibrant, just to lift everything, is always a good idea. So this is right up there in terms of having a well-balanced plate. Beans, heaps of protein in them. Spinach, you've got fibre, you've got a little bit of carbs if you want, if you're feeling like you want to have that. And then, your beautiful like sour cream feta, lime, like your optional lime. It's always nice to sort of, when you're plating it up, it's like one of those things, you just give them the option if they want that little bit more. It's a really wholesome dish, this one. Really happy with it.
Well, we're looking forward to getting some plating tips later.
Yes.
So the students at home, when they are playing along with their families, they can present an incredible dish the way that you would have done on Masterchef.
It's so funny. Before going down that road and being involved in that, I was very much like, just get it on the plate. Get it on the plate. Flavour is king.
Who cares?
Flavour is king. Who cares? But being involved in that and being surrounded by people that were really particular and quite fastidious about how they put things together, I got to a point where I had to agree. I'm like, that looks so much more enticing. That looks so much more inviting. It looks better. It looks healthier. It looks more vibrant. When you just spend that little bit of time and have a bit of a play and build things in a different way. And that's the beautiful thing about a bowl, because you're sort of compartmentalizing all of those ingredients and putting them in segmented around the plate for you to just sort of drag through and move around and get a little bit of everything on your fork, and then sort of put it together. Or, as you've stated, you would
just whip it up.
Just whip it, just smash it all up.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry,
put it all together. To feed, all right?
And look, in the world of social media, presentation is it. They can't see they can't taste it.
No.
And look, they come to your restaurant.
Can't taste photos. I know.
They're going to take a photo and put it on Instagram. They're going to know. No, everyone else is not going to know.
Please, if you're going to go out to restaurants, you're going to make beautiful meals at home. Please make sure that while it's still in its peak form, get into it. Get into it. Enjoy it while it's right up there.
Okay, I can see you've got a super hot pan
We're going to start getting some serious heat into this pan. Okay, so
yep, you've got some knives
coming through quickly.
Talk to us about some safety tips that the students can take away.
I think with when you're working with hot pans and things like that, if you've got gas burners at home, we are going to be using a little bit of oil in here. So keeping things like liquids, oil and water, hot oil and any form of liquid, do not mix. Keep them well away. So the chicken stock, I'd be moving that well out of the vicinity of the oil. All right, and exactly what you were talking about before, about just especially when you're doing something that you're working with some dangerous items. Okay, you're in a kitchen, you've got sharp knives.
These are very sharp.
They are very sharp. Okay, you've got hot pans, and it's not to deter people from getting in the kitchen. We're all about, that's what we're here to do. It's about just, when you're stepping into a space like this, being a little bit more mindful, creating a safe work environment, cleaning up after yourself, keeping it neat and tidy, so you're not going to, you can avoid some potential accidents or unsafe scenarios. So, and yeah, having that sort of presence of mind, going, okay, I don't work with a sharp knife every day. I'm going to get in the kitchen. I want to cook dinner for mum and dad. Take your time. Take your time.
And
there's no rush.
Don't be scared to ask for someone. If
Totally.
you, like literally.
If you're feeling a bit...
Well, even before we even started this, I even asked for you to cut some stuff up for me, which didn't go too successfully before. But it's purely because we're here and it's not a comfortable environment for me. So I'm happy to pass it to the expert.
Mate, you take care of the other.
So don't be scared to ask for help in these scenarios, because there are some dangerous things but it's making sure we keep it safe as possible. There's always going to be someone around who can give you a hand.
Yeah,
and if they can't, just give it a really good think through and see whether you actually are going to do it. And if there's an alternative, take that. Just do whatever you can to make sure we stay safe.
So we've got some really beautiful extra virgin olive oil in the base of the pan there. And we're gonna do this in batches. So I'm sure if you've ever seen mum and dad cook a stir fry, and I hope they do it this way, just go in batches, bit by bit. So what's gonna happen, if you overcrowd that pan and go in there with too much of that beef, right? So just swirl it around, move it, get a little bit of oil underneath each of those pieces of beef. If you were to sort of dump it all in, if you're making a stir fry, you go with your ginger, garlic, you put your beef in, then your veggies over the top, it can get overcrowded. You're going to drop the heat of the pan, okay? And it's going to struggle to get back up to keep frying. It'll start steaming, all right? And that's when things start to get a little bit washed out, a little bit grey. Look, the flavour can still be achieved, but you don't have that you don't have the integrity in the vegetables. They don't stay as crunchy. They don't stay as fresh and vibrant, all right? So, and you don't need to fiddle too much. I think that we can get caught up in, being a bit of a wok hero and being like, getting in and lifting it up and moving it around. But you're actually detracting from what you're trying to do. So when you've got a domestic burner, you're at home in your kitchen, no one expects you to try and have access to that sort of equipment. Leave it on the heat, all right? That's where your source of heat's coming from, whether it's a gas burner, induction, electric, and don't fiddle with that beef too much. Let it sit, let it ride on there, get some really good consistent contact with the base of the pan, and then, that's been in for what? A minute, you should start to see a little bit of that action happening.
Why is that important?
So that's where you start to get that caramelization, and the caramelization, the change in colour is a really solid suggestion. You're starting to get some nice flavour and some really good personality coming out of the beef itself, and that little bit of seasoning that we put over the top. All right. So I'm just going to get that. There we go. All these little gnarly charred up edges. You get a nice little bit of that colour on the fat cap off the rump. That's letting me know we're heading in a really good direction. We're in a great place here. We've got the beef sizzling off. We've got the guac sorted. Have you checked that for the seasoning? You're happy with where that's at?
Looks and tastes delicious. And I can vouch for this.
Smells.
Yes.
Smells
very good.
Really good. All right.
I'm looking forward to this.
Look at that. So I think we're approaching about maybe the 1.5 to 2 minute mark of being in that pan. Got some lovely colour on there. Still a little bit of that blush on the rump, which is perfect because it will continue to cook after you take it out. But having it sliced so nice and thin against the grain, those really simple processes of what you do to the beef before you cook it are going to make the world of difference in the end. So this is going to be crazy tender, crazy tender.
Yeah, and you don't want to cook this too long either.
No, honestly, you turn the heat off, we're done. We've got enough colour on the beef. You don't want to push it too far because you don't want to get bitterness and sort of start to burn it. But that nice little bit of colour and caramelisation is spot on. So that can just ride in the pan and let that residual heat warm it through. We can start building here. This is where I'm going to let you loose. I want to see how the pro does it. How you put one of these bad boys together.
You're definitely
here we go.
branching out in the pro, aren't you?
I'll give you that size spoon.
Yep, that's a better size spoon. Okay.
So talk us through your favourite ingredients here, Scott, and how you would plate them up. And I'm sure Matt will swoop in and save the day at the end if he needs to.
No, he's all right.
So by far, the meat's obviously the hero in this dish. But I love the guac. And for me, the guac is a key for anything Mexican. And we spoke a little bit at the start, Matt mentioned about good fats. And when you talk about good fats, avocado is key. It's probably the king of good fats. So avocado for a long period of time had a bad reputation about,
it to and froed a lot, didn't it? Yeah.
And I think the fats all got kind of heaped into one big negative pile.
Yep.
But there is definitely good fats and there's definitely bad fats. And avocado fits into the good fats. So basically really good for recovery, and it's a really important part as being an athlete to make sure that we get good fats onto the plate as much as we possibly can, and from there, it's just about making sure that you have a bit of everything on the plate.
It's always like the common theme. It just keeps coming back to balance, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. How am I going on the plate?
No, I'm keeping a very razor sharp eye on you, my friend.
Yeah, this is not
good.
This is not my actual team.
Are you being a gentleman now? I feel like
I've started too far at the outside and haven't gone to the middle here. So
you can feel it.
Yeah, I reckon a bit more spinach.
A bit more spinach than middle. Always a good idea.
A bit of a gap filler.
Yep.
It's always good. Oh, a bit of rice. I forgot about him.
A little bit of rice on there.
So we prepared this earlier.
We did. So we've got the spices in there. We've got some lovely stock. Cumin, coriander, and the turmeric, which is one of those things we spoke about. You know, those spices, they can play a really vital role in the aid and recovery of any inflammation that you would probably experience in training. Absolutely. Here we go.
Well, you just pour that on there almost. Here you go. Yeah,
all right. I'm going to sort of jump into this.
That looks pretty amazing. And girls and boys, if we had smell-o-vision, your mouths would be watering. It's absolutely amazing in here. Whilst you're plating that up so beautifully, we've got so many questions I'd love to be able to ask. So this one's for you, Scott. Simon asks, when you're doing your sport, what is the best food to eat before and after? So we spoke about the importance of eating quickly after you train, but what's the best type of food to eat before and after?
That's a very, very difficult question to answer, purely because what I do, I run 100 meters. So I'm not doing huge amounts of volume, but somebody like a marathon runner who's running 180 Ks a week, we're going to need to eat vastly different foods. So the best piece of advice I can give anybody is actually look at what you do, look at what your energy intake is, and just start to actually work backwards from there and go, well, I'm doing a lot of quantity, I need more carbs, still need protein. Protein and carbs are obviously your main base, and you just kind of vary those up and down depending on what you do. So as we kind of mentioned at the start, this is not a burrito bowl that when I'm in peak condition and about to race, that I have these ingredients wouldn't be there, because I'd take the rice out because I no longer need it, because I just purely not doing the quantity. Exactly right, not doing the quantity in training that I really require, and you're just kind of really just modifying it. Find a core amount of ingredients. So really good quality food that you can buy in its whole form, whether that's a lime or an avocado, and then use those ingredients to then fuel what you need to be able to do. So it's a difficult question to answer, and it's really very sport specific to what you do and what you're trying to do. Where you're trying to, even in athletics and doing 100 meters, you're trying to bulk, you're trying to slim, you're trying to maintain. It's so different for everybody as well. So.
Yeah, great question, Simon.
Yep.
So maybe have a think about what you're doing at the moment.
There's like a lot of calculators out there. Like I don't know how accurate they are, but like if the kids wanted to get a bit of a grasp on how much they're burning and what they need to be taking in and how to balance that out, are there those tools out there?
Yeah, there are. You look at them with a side of caution, because they're not always accurate, and don't fall into the letter of the law, but it's a really good place to start.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids now, even my young niece has got a Fitbit. So it tracks how many steps she takes, how many calories she's burned a day. So you actually almost work backwards from that.
Yeah.
And you go, well, this is what I'm actually
what I need to put back in.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And then just kind of work out from there. But use that as a base to start, and then pull out, put in, and just work your way along, and have goals of what you're trying to achieve with your food as well. Food for you is a massive pleasure thing. Food for me is fuel. So we definitely look at food in different ways. I absolutely love food, and it is a pleasurable thing for me, but my number one priority for food is fuel.
Yours is like more of a double-pronged approach to it. You want to enjoy it, of course, because it's so important. You do need to sit down within that time frame and consume it and enjoy it, but it needs to have value. It needs to have its place, and it needs to be giving you everything you possibly need.
Absolutely.
So give us some tips that the students can do at home on plating up.
Plating.
Don't do what I just did.
No, that looks all right.
That works. We'll
That's great.
Get the feta on here as well.
I think like whether you're making a burrito bowl, whether you're making a salad, whether you've got a roast on the go, I think we eat with our eyes. So as long as with what you're doing, you can see all the ingredients in there. They've got their own place. They've got their own identity. You can sort of look at it and go, bang, I know that's in there, that's in there. And keeping it really light and bright. I like layers, like in sort of offset layers and different textures and contrasts. And I think it's almost like sometimes I will choose what ingredients I want to put in because I'm thinking about how it's going to look at the end. I think, or how would I cut that? If I was going to put capsicums in there, how would I cut them? So it's not always just about picking up the knife and just slicing everything. it's having that little bit of forethought and going, okay, if I'm going to cut the capsicums like this, I might cut the cucumber like this, and I might cut the beef, strips of beef like this. And just trying to bring a lot of different aspects to it and different characteristics from the ingredients together. So it's not all uniform. Keep it a bit rustic, have a bit of fun with it, throw it on the plate. Don't overthink it. I think that's the biggest thing. Just have fun with it. At the end of the day, if you think it looks good, you want to take a photo of it and snap it up and share it with all your friends and, let them know that you're just crushing it in the kitchen. Do that. That's what it's all about.
The big thing as well is like all the kids, if you look at that and think that it's good enough to eat, it looks good enough to eat, job done.
Exactly. You've done everything you set out to. Yeah. Have fun with it. That's the biggest thing. Don't take it too seriously. Enjoy that process because it's the final stroke of the paintbrush, isn't it? Like you've spent all that time creating a beautiful meal. Just that little bit at the end to finish it off and sit down and go, I made this. There's that self-satisfaction and that pride. For whatever you do, like I said before you start taking heaps of photos, you want to sit down and enjoy it at its peak. Yeah. When it's all nice and warm, the ingredients are nice and fresh and standing upright and just looking delicious. So.
Well, we're talking about how to be your greatest day, and that looks pretty great to me.
I reckon.
We've got a few minutes before we wrap up, and I know that a lot of the questions are coming through kind of talking about your earliest memories with food and, how you started cooking. So many here about, where did your love of cooking come from? Have you got any family memories of things that you used to cook as a kid? Do you want to share some of that with the students?
You were brought up on the farm. You have some amazing.
Absolutely. And one thing that I had was fresh meat on the plate all the time. And that's just purely been when you're a producer, that's just a luxury we have. And it's always from kind of my youngest age, like when I think about food, I think of family, people coming together, and mum was always making salads in the kitchen and dad was always at the barbecue. Grilling away. So, and that's still, even when I go home this day and age, and that's exactly what I expect.
That's still the job allocation. Yeah,
exactly right. So look, it's been for me. I think we as a whole general community, we seem to drift apart because of social media and things like that. And I think food for me, it has always been and it continues to be that it's that glue that brings us all back together. And that's what I love about food. And that's where I think my passion for food is. Like I'm no chef. I just love cooking and I love putting things together. And I love good, tasty food and to be able to bring people together. And I actually make a conscious effort, like every week. We get people to our place all the time, get people together, play some cards, have a good meal. And that's where I love food. It's just that glue that holds us together. Yeah.
And what are your favourite early memories?
It's a very similar kind of story. I think when you're blessed to come up in a household and your mum and dad, your grandparents are all food obsessed individuals, and they love the scene that it sets and how it brings the family together. And it's I feel really fortunate to have been surrounded by people that really made an effort to source really good produce and to try and push the boundaries a little bit. Like I remember being at school and a lot of my mates, their households were meat and 3-veg style households, and there was nothing wrong with that at all. Whereas mum would she'd be the one like trying to do a little bit of a curry or like a Singapore noodle or whatever. And it was like, whoa, you're getting a bit fancy there, Vic. But it was really good, and it opened the world of food up to us as well. So I guess she was kind of leading that charge for us, and it was exciting. There was a lot of thought and a lot of love that went into the food that was put onto our table, and I think it was really nice that really did set the scene for me of how I view the world of food, and I have no doubt that's why I've ended up in this position today, for sure.
Incredible. And you've got a pretty exciting journey ahead of you this year. Lots of questions here. Alana's got one. What are you doing to prepare for the Paralympics this year? Yeah,
so we're preparing as everything's going to go ahead, and that's the way we have to approach it. But my training schedule a week, kind of 6 days a week. Normally Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're at the track in the morning, then we go to the gym in the afternoon. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we're in the gym again, and then we duck off to the pool after that. So it's around about 11 training sessions a week, but then you kind of add on top, we do Pilates as well. We then have massage and physio appointments to make sure the body's in tip-top shape. I work with a psychologist all the time as well to make sure that I'm actually doing some pretty cool stuff, which is actually, I think, is going to be probably the biggest advantage I'm going to have when I stand that start line in Tokyo, and it's visualization. Actually doing not proper visualization where we set a scene, we write and make a script where we can write a wave of emotions, and then I can execute what I'm about to do. So fascinated that the human brain, we can visualize something with really good clarity. The brain doesn't know whether it's true or it's an image. So if I do this enough times, my body, when I get to that start line in Tokyo, it's going to believe that
it's been there.
Yeah, I've been here, I've done that before, I'm going to go out and win that race. It's just another script that I'm running through in my brain to go out there and win. But yeah, like I said, we're training, doing the physical stuff, but we've definitely gone down the path for more the mental side of it this time around.
Amazing.
It's when you're getting to my age in sport, like I'm only 30, but in sport, that's actually getting to the back end of my career, I have to find these advantages, and this is a massive one for me. Exactly right. Yeah. Why and how am I going to be the best in the world? I mean, look at me, look at the height of me.
Well,
how tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". So you're not an absolute giant, but you're not short either. I'm all of 5'5.5". So
you're not going to see me running 100 meters in 12 seconds. That's for sure.
But some of my height, I have a significant disadvantage in a lot of areas. So how am I going to be better than people who are better than me? How am I going to find avenues to be better than everyone else, like I have done?
It's like approaching any difficult situation, isn't it? It's like, okay, how do I get around it? Where's the solution? How do I find that edge?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then when people find your secrets from every time you win, what are your new secrets?
You've got to evolve.
Exactly right. And that's what we're doing this time around. So it's exciting. It's whatever the result ends up being, I know I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run fast. If that means that I win gold, that'll be absolutely amazing. If it means that I finish at the back end of the field, run as fast as I possibly can, run a personal best, look, that's the way it is as well. So I know that I'm going to be there and I'm going to be ready to run fast.
Great tips for our students as well, because I know a lot of them are learning about mindfulness techniques in class this year. So it sounds as though it's pretty similar to what you do with that visualization at the very beginning of your race.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually the foundation. That's how we start, and then we move forward from there. And like we just spoke about before with the 3 breaths, that's mindfulness. That is at its absolute core. I can be there standing on the start line, 7 people beside me, 80,000 people, and all I see is a line in front of me, 2 lines that make sure I go straight, and then the finish line. I don't see anything else. Massive tunnel vision, and then you just go and do what you do. Then it's a weird feeling when you cross that finish line and you haven't taken anything in, and all of a sudden you see everything.
Amazing.
Come out of the zone.
Yeah.
So you've got over 1 billion people watching you, and you've tuned them all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a pretty special skill to have, and not everyone can do that.
Yes. Well, look, this looks absolutely delicious. We're running out of time. So whilst you two start to tuck into that delicious looking meal, I'll just let everybody know that we've just had so many questions come through today. We've tried to answer as many as we can, but we will actually have a short video that we'll post after this where we make sure we get to all of your questions. So don't worry if we didn't quite get to them during this session. What's it like? It smells amazing.
Really good. Yeah, I'm really happy with the flavour in that beef. And that was for 20 minutes. It sat there, it's just taken everything on. Next level with the caramelisation. Guac, sensational.
This is the second one of these we've done today, and my reaction was the same both times. It was like I was surprised it was going to taste that good.
It's like good, even after, I can't even imagine how many burrito bowls that you've gone through, but you can still sit there and go, oh yeah.
That beef is just super tender. Just everything together there, So
those little simple processes along the way that give you the A-grade finish at the end.
Absolutely, and that is what that is.
Yeah, pretty much.
So students and teachers, we really encourage you to go home and give this one a try. There are so many different recipes on the website links that we're going to have at the very end of this session. There'll be a slide, you can jot them down, we'll send them to you as well. So we encourage you to try cooking. Don't forget, if you're a student and you want to try this at home, just double check with mum or dad first. Otherwise, we've got lots more sessions coming up this year we're really excited to share with you. We have some more in March. If you want to register for those now, jump onto those websites and make sure that you click away so that we know that you're coming along. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you so much, Matt. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm sure all the students have learned so much today and been inspired by both of your journeys. So don't forget, double click on that registration button and join us for March. Otherwise, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
Thank you.